This is what will happen to Bitcoin and Shiba Inu between January and April 2024. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how Bitcoin can reach a price of at least $100,000 and Ethereum can reach a price of at least $5,900 and SHIB can reach a market cap of roughly $30 billion, which is 0.4 zeros and a 5 by the end of April. Things are heating up for the Shiba Inu ecosystem and all signs are pointing to a massive bull run across the crypto space. Back in 2021, after Bitcoin hit its all-time high of nearly $67,000, there was enough liquidity in the overall market for Shiba Inu to support a market cap of nearly $40 billion, giving it a price of between 70 to 80,000 Satoshi units. And so in today's video, we're going to compare the Shiba Inu of 2021 versus the Shiba Inu of 2024 and see if we can make a case for another all-time high within the next 4 to 6 months. But most importantly, we're not just talking about how much SHIB is likely to gain, but exactly why, as in what conditions are going to contribute to these movements. And with that, let's start this video. This video is for education and entertainment purposes only and should not be taken as financial advice. If we look at the historical snapshot of the top 20 cryptocurrencies on the date of November 14, 2021, this was near the overall market top of cryptocurrencies, and Bitcoin was near its all-time high of around roughly $65,000 on that date. And under these hyper bull market conditions, there was enough liquidity in the market to support a Shiba Inu market cap of close to $30 billion, and that was near Shiba Inu's all-time high. And in fact, in the bull market, SHIB consistently represented about 2.4% of the value of Bitcoin's market cap, whilst SHIB also held roughly about 5% of the market cap of Ethereum. And the same could be said for other top 10 cryptos like Solana, like Cardano, and even like Binance, which were at or near their all-time highs around about that time. They held a particular consistent percentage value in relation to Bitcoin. But my case is as follows. Bitcoin was riding a wave of momentum which had been triggered back as early as February from a combination of extremely low interest rates and sudden interest in cryptocurrencies, particularly when Elon Musk declared that Tesla was holding Bitcoin on its balance sheets. So we know at that time, regarding the demand factor, that demand factor was certainly there at that time, but the supply factor wasn't nearly as strong because the Bitcoin halving was still roughly 3 years away. And that's one of the reasons the stock-to-flow model didn't achieve its target of 100K around that time. But we know all too well that the sudden aggressive increase in interest rates around about that time, they completely stopped that demand and resulted in a massive bear market which lasted the following 2 years. But right now we're at a very unique point where the supply factor, which is going to be happening because of this halving which is happening in April, is about to happen. And even better, the demand factors, in my opinion, are much stronger now than they were 2 years ago. And of course, this is because of the multiple spot Bitcoin ETFs from the world's major institutional investors such as BlackRock. Okay, let's run a quick simulation. What do you see when you look at this Bitcoin all-time chart? Doesn't it look dangerously similar to the beginning of the previous bull market, comparing this time which we're at now and this time which was the beginning of the previous bull market? And the deadline for the current multiple spot Bitcoin ETFs is roughly January 15th, and the current price of Bitcoin has been steadily climbing to its current price of roughly $44,000 at the time of recording this video. So let's open our Bitcoin price simulation. I believe with the current momentum, by the end of December, Bitcoin will be at $50,000. So I'm going to adjust my simulator to make Bitcoin $50,000 by the end of December. And if we look at January, which is over here, we have multiple potential ETFs, as well as an FOMC meeting where interest rates are going to be discussed. And judging from the recent CPI figures, which came back quite positive, meaning that inflation is trending downwards, there's a strong chance that we could hear talks of a rate pause or even a promise of a rate cut. So in this bullish scenario, I'm saying that Bitcoin will be able to comfortably rise to $60,000 at least within January. So I'm going to adjust my simulation to roughly $60,000 at sometime in January. And if the Federal Reserve is dovish as opposed to hawkish, I believe that we could have a happy New Year early Bitcoin all-time high of even up to, let's just say, $67,000. And on the flip side, if there's no decision by the end of the 15th of January, this I believe will cause some expected nervousness in the market, and Bitcoin would temporarily crash, maybe back to the upper $40,000 ranges on the worst end. But for the case of this simulation, I'd like to stay on a bullish trajectory, so we'll take Bitcoin back to the low sort of 60,000s by the end of January. So now let's talk about Shiba Inu, which currently has a price of roughly 10,000 Satoshi units at about a market cap of $5.9 billion. Remember, I mentioned that at peak bull market conditions, Shiba Inu holds a value of around roughly 2.4% of the value of Bitcoins in a bull market. And so that would be, if I was to add that to Shiba Inu, that would be roughly $30 billion. So if I enter that into the simulation, then that would give us a price of 4 zeros and a 5. And but the only difference between this price now and the previous bull market is we now have a flood of 589 trillion tokens in circulation versus the last time when we had 549. Hence the price is a little lower in comparison to last bull cycle. And let's jump back to the Bitcoin simulation. As for the month of February, the market will now have a lot of renewed momentum as we are now about to tackle the supply factor caused by the upcoming halving. And for this reason, I'm comfortable inching Bitcoin to a low case of $70,000 at some point in February. And I'll just adjust that to the lower end of 70,000 in February, and which will put us here, and a uppercase scenario for February of about $80,000. And if the ETFs, in my opinion, are successful, I believe at this time fund managers will be inundated with requests for Bitcoin given the current climate conditions. And as for March, I believe this will fuel injections of billions, which will push the price of Bitcoin to what I would think would be a low case of roughly $90,000 in the month of March, and maybe even a high case of close to $100,000 by the end of March. But for this particular scenario, I'm just going to leave Bitcoin in the low 90s range at some point during March. And the reason why I say this, since about 2016, the price of Bitcoin always rose steadily towards the halving in whichever cycle which it happened. In 2016 and 2020, the price rose all the way up until the halving, and in some cases the price would dip shortly after the halving only to shoot up later, and this would happen in all cases. So I believe a similar event will happen where the price will continue to rise right up until the April scenario. And so I'm quite comfortable leaving the month of March somewhere in the $90,000 range, because I think this is also going to be a range where a lot of people are going to be taking profits, and especially those who've been holding Bitcoin for 2 years or more. And I think this is a wise move, knowing that the upcoming supply shock from April halving event will most certainly continue to bring people gains. And so let's jump to Shiba Inu. It's important to know that SHIB is built on Ethereum, and during the last bull cycle, Shiba Inu was the #1 held token among Ethereum whales, and Ethereum will also inevitably be at its all-time high at that time. So assuming Ethereum maintains its current circulating supply of around 120 million, even if it goes deflationary because of the bull run, I do expect Ethereum to gain between $200 to $300 billion within that month. So for that reason, I'll add about $1 billion here, and I'll add a couple more billion to give Ethereum about an additional $3 billion, and that'll put it at a price of about $4.8 thousand in the month of March. And the reason why I'm saying this is, remember I mentioned that Ethereum holds a fairly consistent peg of about 30% to Bitcoin, and for my simulation, if I have a $90 Bitcoin price. This is the market cap of Bitcoin at that point. It's about 1.7 trillion, and 30% of that will roughly give Ethereum more or less around about on the upper 500 billion region. And what does this mean for Shiba Inu? If I jump to SHIB, as you know, as I mentioned before, if SHIB regains its all-time value of around 5% the value of Ethereum, that should take Shiba Inu to a market cap of nearly $40 billion. So in that case, I will add that to the Shiba Inu simulation. There's about $40,000, which would push the price of SHIB to about 0.4006. And if you're still with me, let's wrap this up. We'll go back to the Bitcoin April simulation because of the halving, I'm quite comfortable simulating a record-breaking all-time high Bitcoin price in the month of April of around $100,000 for there and beyond. And these are my reasons why. Let's compare the market conditions of the previous cycle to the current conditions which are fueling this current bull cycle. In 2021, Bitcoin's significant rise in value was attributed to a combination of factors. Firstly, institutional investors, large-scale institutional investors like MicroStrategy and Square. Another factor was the Bitcoin halving. At that time, we were about 6 months after the previous halving, so we were experiencing the top of that cycle. And at that time, there was also increased public and corporate interest, and notable increase in public and corporate interest in Bitcoin, particularly with high-profile endorsements and positive statements from influential figures like Elon Musk and Tesla, if you guys remember. And also at that time, there was a growing understanding of Bitcoin, and as a result, an adoption of Bitcoin improved significantly. Also, some outlets mentioned that there were favorable government regulations, but that was in various countries. I'm not so sure about the US because I haven't researched that far yet. And I would like to argue that the exact same conditions are existing right now, but on a much more magnified scale. Let me explain. At the moment, there'll be a lot more institutional investment and even more corporate and public interest thanks to the spot Bitcoin ETF. Not everyone wants to have hot wallets and cold storage devices and deal with gas fees and bridging to layer 2s and using centralized exchanges. And an ETF is going to allow people to be exposed to the price of Bitcoin without actually owning it. But the ETF holders themselves have to actually buy and hold Bitcoin to back it up. And right now, there's much more understanding of blockchain technology and right now compared to 2021. And so crypto, in my opinion, will not be as much of a hard sell as it used to be. And so my revised forecast for crypto prices in 2024, at least $100,000 for Bitcoin, hopefully towards the end of April. And I also think Ethereum up to $6,000 round about the same time. And as for SHIB, I do believe SHIB has the ability to hold roughly $25 billion market cap if it continues to hold similar sentiments from the previous bull run. And I also think that on an upper case, you know, if the previous simulations hold true, Shiba Inu should be able to pump to about $41 billion in market cap, giving it an upper price of 40.6. But personally, I'm hoping for at least SHIB to go back above 20 billion, which gives us 40.4. And let's see how that works out. And if you're interested in these kind of scenarios, I recently did a more detailed video where I simulated the entire year of 2024. So that video should pop up on your screen right about now. Otherwise, thanks for your support. The best way to continue to support this channel is by simply hitting the like button and also leaving a comment. That will motivate me to keep bringing you high quality Shiba Inu related content as well as other crypto related content. Once again, thank you for watching, everyone. This is Ace. Peace.